and it's time for the Game Sports Show. It's David McKaig inside On TV Studios, and we're here for another action-packed edition of the Twin Sault's only local, regional, and national sports show. Very happy you're able to join us here tonight. I'm here joined by the sharp-dressed man, Daniel Scarpino in the middle, and I'm also joined by someone who changed his shampoo, Alex Parr, the one and only Alex Parr.
I did it, guys. I know you were waiting for that one.
Breaking news, he changed from Garnier to Herbal Essence.
Head and Shoulders to Garnier Fructis, actually, if we're being specific. But I'll let you continue on with the intro now.
Definitely nice. Now, we're here on tonight's show. We're going to be talking local right from the get-go in terms of soccer, local hockey. We're also going to get into talking about the Soo Greyhounds, LSSU in part 2. We got more action-packed news in terms of professional sports with the NHL. We're going to be jumping into the NBA. We even got some local wrestling interview that Alex was a part of. We have local football, professional football with the In the Pocket segment. Loads and loads to talk about. Myself and the two lovely gentlemen beside me will be here the entirety of the way. And let's kick it off, shall we? Pun intended. I'm going to slide over to Daniel Scarpino here, who is part of the Algoma University coaching staff. I want you to dissect, because you did another fantastic article on, well, it's posted on Soo Online. It's also on our Facebook page at the Game Sports Show. Check it out. The likes that you get on that and the reviews that you get on your Premier League articles, your local articles, your weekend reports are fantastic. So obviously we can't state the whole weekend report. So if you can quickly give us some reaction of what happened this weekend, and then we'll get into some things that are going on this weekend.
Absolutely. So we took to Hamilton this weekend to play the McMaster Marauders. The women played 2 really quality games, dropped both decisions. First game was 3-0, second game was 3-1, but 2 of their best performances of the season. Played really, really good, and on Sunday actually played well enough to win the game. Game was really in the balance, so it was excellent for them. And then for the men, had a really difficult and just not so good performance on Saturday. Lost 8-0. 8th best team in the country, ranked at that point, McMaster was. Came out Sunday and just a massive upset, and we managed to win 2-1, playing probably the best we've ever played in the history of the program. So all in all, when all things are considered, a pretty positive and really good weekend.
See, now I've been told, and no, not from you, I've been told from knowing people and attending Algoma University myself, mostly online I should say, but the win against McMaster, okay, some people were left in tears, I'm being told. I'm hearing the other team was pretty upset that they lost to Algoma University, and after packing on the bus, I was told that some players of McMaster were not still in their locker room. They were still with their head down at the sidelines shedding a couple tears, and no longer are they the 8th ranked seed in the OUA right now. So, I know it's a tough game, it's hard to lose, but Algoma U is a good little soccer team, okay? They don't have to be too upset, and I guess Algoma University definitely left their standpoint. I don't know how school was today for the guys there, or yesterday for the McMaster team. But quickly moving on, they got York University this weekend, the women's and the men's playing at 1 and 3 respectively. York is rated 2nd in the country. I'd love to see another upset and see how they react. If it's true about McMaster. But just a quick little rundown this weekend.
So we just have a single home game, one for the men, one for the women, at Superior Heights, 1 o'clock Sunday for the women, 3 o'clock for the men's. Both York sides for the men and the women, fantastic, really good team. But in terms of Algoma, confident performances on the weekend, so we could take that going with us against York and see what happens when we take the field Sunday.
Definitely. And just quickly, a brief that you can follow the Algoma University soccer team on Facebook, and you also got the live updates in the game, correct?
Yes, on Twitter you can follow it at Algoma U Soccer. So we have live updates there, and you can watch all games on OUA TV.
That's fantastic stuff. Now, transitioning to some Soo College athletics, we got the women's team split games last weekend. The men's soccer tied. Both soccer teams will be in Cambrian on Saturday. And then men's hockey goes into action this weekend, up 6-0. Transitioning to Soo College athletics, obviously 6-0 on the season after winning 6-4 and 6-1 this past weekend. Definitely the Soo College Cougars definitely leading into the season on the right foot and building where they left off last year, winning the Division III National Championship. And they will be at Marian University this upcoming weekend. Definitely check out Soo College athletics on Instagram, Facebook. They're heavy on there. And fan guest of the show previously and big fan of the show, and friend of mine, Anthony Miller, actually does the work for graphics for them now as well. A fantastic job. I love to see what they are doing with the social media upload to get everyone involved in there for soccer, for basketball, hockey, anything. Just follow Soo College on that. And as we just said, follow Algoma U as well. Now, going into some more hockey locally, the Soo Thunderbirds were in action this past weekend. Only had one game. They dropped their 5th straight decision against the Sioux Eagles in their border battle in a shootout. And they have 3 games this upcoming weekend. Blind River on Thursday, Blind River on Friday, and then at 7 o'clock they play Espanola on Saturday here in Sault Ste. Marie. So big 3 games this weekend. And 2-parter question, Alex. I'm going to go to you for one part for the unexpected start to the season so far for the Thunderbirds. And I'm going to go to you, Dan, for saying how can you bounce back from a lengthy losing streak?
Well, I think it is right in saying it's unexpected. I mean, I think we've been saying this the last 2 weeks now that this just isn't something that the program's seen really before. I think the statement games are coming up, though. How this team can play against the Blind River Beavers, who are having such an excellent season,
yes, they are,
will speak a lot. And I know usually the battle of the border usually goes to the Canadian side, so seeing them drop a couple decisions to the Eagles is a little bit surprising, too. But like I've said the last 2 weeks, I'm not pressing that panic button. We know how good this program is. Let those guys get healthy. Let those guys come back from suspensions, and that'll be a completely different team.
Now, Dan, how can a team bounce back from, when you have a losing streak like 5 games? They've had a 3-game losing streak and a 5-game losing streak happen this year already. And the Thunderbirds program is, obviously superior program than the National Junior Hockey League and just throughout Ontario and Canada. Recognized, obviously. What can a team do to bounce back from that?
Well, from a coaching perspective, when you're winning games, you try and not touch too much. You try and leave things as they be, and if it ain't broke, don't fix it, so to speak. And you kind of just, you do your training, you do your practicing, you do what you have to do, and you just get on with it, really. Mm-hmm. But when you're in a funk, it does become troublesome from a coaching perspective and from a playing perspective, because at that point, you're in solution mode, and you're trying to find solutions. So I think if you have a strong culture and you have a strong philosophy in your program, as you mentioned, the Thunderbirds do, they're so reputable in our city and across Ontario, of course, getting back to what has made you successful, getting back to the core principles of your team and the philosophy in which you play, I think that's really important. So a little bit of soul searching, a little bit of time on the whiteboard with the coach and the players, and I think that they'll be just fine.
Definitely, I cannot agree more. You have a Thunderbird program, okay, that knows what they're doing. Trevor Zachary and John Parko and staff involved, and including Joey Miller, who is a lively individual himself that knows his hockey, been a Thunderbird legend himself. So they have a lot of good people at the helm there with the Sioux Thunderbirds, so I expect to turn around as well. Quickly to the Eagles. The Sioux Thunderbirds are at the Eagles that they played this last week and won 4-3. They also won 6-5 against Elliott Lake, and they improved to 4-3, 1-1 this past weekend. They're back in action for 3 games, that tough road trip. They got Hearst, Timmins, and Cochrane this weekend. The Beavers have 2 games this week, home and home games against the Thunderbirds, as I mentioned earlier. The Beavers going to actually be number 1 spot in the West with David Bowen and the Rayside Balfour Canadians right behind the Beavers in the standings. Powassan leads away on the eastern side of the NOJHL. Listen to ESPN 1400 on the Lake on the Podbean page, our website, for in-depth statistical analysis on the games this past weekend from yesterday's show, and also for Eagle games as well. And you can also look at Hockey TV for those games. Quick shout out to the Sioux Indians and also to the Sioux Junior Greyhounds program. The Indians improved to 9-4 this past weekend, defeating Gilmore Prep, Team Indiana, and the Sylvania North Stars. They return home next weekend against Lake Forest Prep Academy, Saturday at 3, Sunday at 10 at the Taffy Abel Arena. The Sioux Junior Greyhounds, before we go to break, I'll give them a shout out. They're 6-0 on the season. They return to action October the 12th when they open a 2-game weekend against the Kapuskasing Flyers at the John Rhodes Community Center. A lot of things going on, a lot of discussion for local hockey. Don't hesitate to leave your comments below or questions below or your feedback. And are you going to be at those local games? Because you should, and the Game Sports Show will be there as well. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we got Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds talk and Lake Superior State University hockey talk. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to the Game Sports Show. Dave McKay. This is Daniel Scarpino. This is Alex Parr, sharp dressed man, and the new shampoo guy, as I mentioned at the opener of the show. Never living that down. I won't bring it up more than once. I usually bring things up too many times. I won't do that here. We're bringing it to part 2 of the show here tonight. Very happy you're able to join us. Listen to us on TV through Soo Online. You may also be listening to us through the audio portion or through YouTube, through the Game Sports Show.com and all of our platforms, including Facebook, social media, and everywhere else that we are connected with here in Sault Ste. Marie and throughout Ontario, Canada, etc. We're getting into part 2 of the show, getting to talk about the Soo Greyhounds right now in mostly of its entirety, and then we're going to talk some LSSU as well. And Alex, I'm going to give you the floor on a lot of this. You know, I was at the game on Sunday with you. You were at both games on Saturday and Sunday when they played Sudbury and they played Peterborough, respectively. The Hounds dropped both games this weekend. They lost 4-3 in both games. Sudbury, there was 4 first period goals scored on the Hounds in that first game against Sudbury. And then against Peterborough, you know, they just couldn't battle back in that third period. They're down 4-2, I believe, going into the third period. You know, it was tied going into the second period. All in all, you had Christian Prop give up 4 goals, 11 shots, replaced by Ethan Taylor in that first game. And then you had Ethan Taylor, 23 saves out of 27 shots the next game. Pretty serviceable for Ethan there. But going to you, what's your overall analysis on the weekend with the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds?
Yeah, a tough weekend for the once undefeated Soo Greyhounds. Ethan Taylor impressed me immensely. That wasn't something I was thinking I was going to come into this season saying, as I wasn't a big fan of his play last year, but when Prop failed, he stepped in and played great. He gave them chances to win both nights. The only thing I believe this team is lacking is we don't have that superstar to break open the game wide like a Morgan Frost or a Barrett Hayton. But if you're paying attention to how the Arizona Coyotes are doing, they played 2 games so far and haven't used him once. So maybe that'll lead to him coming back. The team looked good. There was portions of the game where they would let a period get away, and that would cost them. They would just throw the puck around with the most blind, ugly passes you could see, and it would seem they'd go to the locker room and come out right mindset, and they would play hard. Now, Jacob, our director, he said, if you can't play with skill, you can still play hard. And I think the Greyhounds are going to need to keep that mentality from here on out if they don't have a superstar player like a Barrett Hayton.
Jacob, I'm going to give you credit on that for that great quote. Actually, a little shout out here for you. But I'm going to say with the Hounds overall that I saw, and when you go into the media room, you get certain pamphlets and you get to look at the statistical stuff with the Greyhounds, and you have their power play, their shot quality on net, their minutes. It's dissected. Amazing work by the Hounds upper staff, and I really think the Hounds are not getting enough quality chances on net. Now people are thinking, okay, we're 4-0, we're 4-2, everyone stop. I'm not saying that they're not doing good or nothing like that. They're 4-2. Out of 6 games, they've won 4. That's fantastic. Okay, so I'll say right now, when I watch the games, the videos, or when I'm on location covering, we're there, is that a lot of their shots are from angles that goalies can save, not really driving the net as much as I'd like them to see. I think in today's game and modern hockey, that speed is imperative to success to a team. It's the defensive zone coverage. It's also capitalizing on your scoring chances. Sticks today, players today were built different than when they used to be. You should be able to shoot that puck over 70 plus miles an hour on a wrist shot and about 80 plus on a slap shot. And when you get that puck in the slot, you got to say, I'm scoring that goal. Or when the puck is shot on net, you're driving the net. I just feel like the quality of chances, they've won 4 games and have succeeded, but I think this weekend a lot of things didn't capitalize on a lot of their chances, and they just threw the puck at the net without looking at it, that one extra pass that they could have made. You know, one goal that was fantastic in the Leaf game last night was CC's and Nylander's. The awareness of these players in the OHL level, NHL level, they're not too far apart, okay? It's just the age difference and the maturity in the level of game. And I think when you have that opportunity with the puck, you take that extra second. Or those type of players that really buy the time and utilize their players around or capitalize on their scoring chances, that's where you can be successful. It's that little hidden thing in the game.
And I think someone that did a lot of what you just mentioned over those last 2 games was Ryan O'Rourke. Man, that kid's speed.
A stud.
He has immensely, and to say immensely even from the season he had before, to improve and add on to that great rookie campaign, you'd see that guy start in his own end, go the whole 200 feet of the ice and score. And that was something that, you notice his offensive awareness is growing. His defensive awareness has to be growing to also be aware that, hey, I've got somebody back there to cover for me. And just the skill, the hands, and the shot he possessed, this kid is turning into exactly what we thought we had in our hands last year.
Definitely. When you have O'Rourke and you have these guys that are just great talent to watch. So, Dan, I'll slide over to you. It's just, they go into this weekend, they go into action being after losing 2 straight. We talked about previously segment that you mentioned they just got to get back to get what worked, and they're up 4-0 on the season. And you lose the 2. What can a team do now to bounce back? Never mind just to get out of a losing streak, but just get back to their winning ways.
Well, what's nice about having a back-to-back is that you know that you have 2 opportunities in front of you, which is really, really excellent. As you mentioned, Alex, there's not necessarily that superstar that they have at this particular moment in time. So you can get back to really simple and fundamental principles that got you to where you were in the first place. And being 4-2 to start off the year, as you said, Dave, is not so bad at all. So it's definitely not a time to hit the panic button. But just in terms of getting back to where they were, focus on the basics, keep things simple, make solid decisions, and I think they'll be just fine.
Use their speed to their advantage. They're such a fast team, and if Barrett Hayton does come back, this team, they'll be at that start. It's going to be one great hockey team to watch. And this weekend, the Hounds will travel to Guelph on Friday night. That's at 7:30, and Owen Sound on Saturday. 2 winnable games, in my opinion, for the Hounds. And they'll be looking to snap their 2-game losing streak to get back to their winning ways on this nice Thanksgiving weekend. I'm sure they'd be thankful if they got those 2 wins, pun intended. LSSU this weekend was also in action. They played against Merrimack to start their season out. If everyone remembers, LSSU had a great year last year. They won 6-2 and 4-3 respectively against Merrimack this past weekend. And a lot of the returning guys, this is a young, and a lot of guys, like I said, returned, but a young team and exciting to watch. And Lake State is looking to get back to what they were able to do last season, if not exceed that. They are in Denver this weekend. They play against the Great Lakes State, the Denver Pioneers. That's a Great Lakes State weekend, sorry. The game time for Friday is at 7:30 p.m. and then on Saturday it's at 7 o'clock. So Friday 7:30, Saturday at 7. You know, the Lakers, are 2-0 to start the year. Great start to their season, Alex.
Great start to the season. It is so funny. You know, we give our love to the Soo Greyhounds, and I think this year is great for LSSU to make that jump over to the Soo. We've got Division I hockey across the bridge. Division I, the highest level of collegiate hockey there is in the States. Yep. Don't ignore it. They are very, very talented, and I think they have good years ahead.
Definitely. You know what? Will they live the original days when they had the national championships? We're not too sure, but this team is definitely exciting to watch and is going to be even better than last year, in my opinion. And you can follow everything LSSU on the Game Sports Show. We're going to be covering everything you need to know there. And it's also going to be on ESPN 1400 with the coverage himself and Scott. And obviously on the SFM, there's through Sovereign Communications, they got lots of coverage for LSSU. You can't say that you can't cover anything local here. The Thunderbirds are on television, the Eagles, television and radio. You have the Hounds on television and us cover them and on radio. LSSU as well. Loads of coverage with the minor hockey and the major midget programs. Soccer has television and live updates. It's all over the place. So if someone says they don't know where to watch something, you're wrong. I want you to come sit down and tell me what you're watching because you're 100% incorrect. Now, I'll say right now, fellas, a lot of local discussion here that we have had, and I'll ask you both, will Barrett Hayton be back with the Hounds this year now that you know that he's not played the 2 games?
Yes, he will be.
I hope so. I'd like to see it, to be honest, but that's a little bit selfish, but I'll say yes.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. If he doesn't play more than 3 games out of the 10, but I'll tell you, when he gets in the lineup, he's the type of guy that's going to make sure that he makes it count. So it's going to be close. I don't know. I could just picture him playing with Phil Kessel. I don't know. Well, we're going to go to our second break, and when we come back, we've got part 3 of the show, and when we get back from the break, we have a wrestling interview that Alex was involved with this past weekend, and it's definitely some exciting stuff. And then after that, when we come back, it's going to be myself, Daniel, and Alex jumping into some NBA discussion, particularly with the Raptors and Kyle Lowry re-signing an extension. So we've got more sports talk here on The Game, so don't go anywhere.
Welcome back to the Game Sports Show, where I'm joined by Diego DaVinci here for an exclusive interview. Now, Diego, we know the boots are hung up. How are you doing with that decision? Is it the right one you've made?
Yes, it is the right one I've made. I am happy, and it's something I've been planning for a long time. Wrestling will always be my true love, my true passion. But getting older right now, and priorities are changing. Physically, I just can't do it anymore. So and it's time for me to like make more room for the younger guys to come up. And And so that's why I decided to hang them up and call it quits.
I know that's got to be a tough decision. Doing something you've done your whole life and you've loved and made a big portion of your life about to step away. You know what? I'm glad you made the right decision for your body, for your mentality. But are you keeping up with the Wednesday night wars now? AEW and WWE. There's some competition there. Are you keeping up with it?
Like I just said, wrestling will always be my number one passion.
Right.
And of course, I stay tuned with what's going on. Which AEW is putting on an amazing product right now. WWE still. Their product is awesome. I wasn't too crazy about the main event on the Hell in a Cell last night, but nevertheless.
That's a conversation for another time.
Yes,
I know I've got some things to say about
Indeed.
that as well. But talking about quality products that always come and always deliver, CWE's coming back soon as well, and I know you want to talk a little bit about that.
CWE is coming back right now with some very good names. Juventud Guerrera is going to be headlining. We have Ring of Honor superstars TK O'Ryan and Vinny Marseglia, who is now the CWE heavyweight champion. Looking forward to seeing these guys come back. I know that pretty much the same CWE roster's coming back. This event, I will be sitting as a spectator and watching.
And is that going to take anything away from you? Because that's going to be completely different. You're going to be watching somebody who you fought beside for years, your brother, Vinny DaVinci, go up against an unnamed opponent for the time being. In Sault Ste. Marie, that's not gonna hurt you at all, knowing that you're not going to be strapping on the boots?
No, because I said before, I made the right decision. I know. It's going to be fun just and enjoyment just to sit and watch my brothers and sisters go out there and put on a performance. And I hope Danny makes the right decision and books my brother Vinny with somebody like Juventud Guerrera. That's something I can sit at ringside and just watch and enjoy.
And Sault Ste. Marie would go nuts.
They'd
for
go
that
nuts,
match.
and he deserves a match like that, And but me, I'm going to be sitting at ringside, and just enjoying it as a fan. Okay.
And for the wisdom you
That's
said
it.
you want to pass around to, what would be something you would say to a competitor going into the ring for maybe the first time, or maybe first time in Sault Ste. Marie?
What I would say to you is get in shape. Maybe learn the business, train properly. Say your prayers, eat your vitamins, and take this business seriously because it's not a joke. You can get out there and hurt. Know what you're doing, and if you get into wrestling, love first. You have to love it first. If you love it, then you can make a career out of it. Which I am proud to say I have.
Yes, and for all the talent going to be coming with CWE, what day is it coming again?
December the 1st.
December the 1st.
2019.
Falls on a Sunday?
Falls on a Sunday evening. Yes.
Jeez, and you have your tickets ready already.
Yo, guys.
Alex White.
Vinny,
Alex,
Vinny DaVinci?
I'm sorry I'm late.
Hey
I'm
man.
glad to see you showed up here. I just got off the phone with legal. I'm sorry to hijack your interview. Listen, this is important. This is important, okay?
All right.
CWE's coming up December. Remember back in January, we signed our contracts to get ready for the year. You wanted to retire. We all know that story. You signed on
Don't
for...
match. Don't start this again.
Guys,
Listen.
we're trying to do a TV show
I was
here,
on the
please.
phone all morning with legal, okay? I was talking to Marty Goldstein. He filled me in on a couple of things. Long story short, I signed a 25-match deal with CWE for 2019. I did that show with you in Winnipeg with Tommy Dreamer. I did those 4 shows over Canada weekend, and I did 18 shows on the last tour. That leaves me with 2 more matches, okay? Sault Ste. Marie on December 1st and Elliott Lake on the 2nd. I had to pull strings just to get myself booked for Sudbury, okay? But while I was doing so, something was brought to my attention. I'm going to show you something here.
What's this now?
Okay.
Like, what did you...
Listen, we jumped in Thunder Bay, right? We rode from Thunder Bay to Toronto. We had our tag match. You hung up your boots. You rode into sunset. Everything was all gravy. They paid you for 7 shows, not 6. I have a CWE official contract. It's legally binding and stating that you have to appear December 1st against
I am
me.
going to appear. I'm going to appear as a spectator.
No. They already paid you. You owe this to the fans. You owe this to me for the promise you made, D. You and me, 101.
Okay, I know. I made a promise to you a long time ago. That was a long time ago. But as much as I love you,
Feet on a ball, Diego.
We're being professionals here. Come on. Okay, sorry.
We'll be professionals.
can't you just respect the fact that I don't want to do this
I
anymore?
would have had no issues had you not gone to Bay City a couple weekends ago.
I was obligated to that show. I committed to that show because it was for our friend Pete Chrissy. I had to be there for him. I was in a battle royal.
What am I, chopped liver?
No, but can't you accept the fact that our last match together was a tag match? We were in a tag match together. We were tag team titles all over the freaking country, all over the U.S. and Canada. We were tag team for a long time. Our last match, my last match, that I'm proud to say was a tag team with you, man.
Yeah.
Okay? Why do you have to have this singles match with me one-on-one? I know I promised you a long time.
Because it needs to happen.
It doesn't have to happen.
You said when you were going to
It doesn't-
retire,
it doesn't
it
have
was
to
you
happen.
and me.
No, it doesn't have to happen. Okay?
Okay,
Listen.
Diego. Come
Sign
on,
the
boys.
paperwork. Just be a man. Sign the damn paperwork.
Man.
Sign the
Be a man.
paperwork.
Be a man being said, can't you just be a man and respect my wishes? Respect this man's wishes? You know, I don't want to wrestle anymore, man. I'm done. Our match, we were tagged.
I got you twice your rate. Sign the paperwork.
Signing this, man.
Sign the
I'm not signing
paperwork.
it. I'm not signing it, okay?
Sign the paper.
Freaking contract. They can't. Oh!
Sign the
my God.
paperwork, bitch.
Oh my God! Bro,
God.
what's going on?
God.
Diego, Vin. Okay, can we get a producer in here? Can we get somebody? Please.
You know what? You know what? Just for that, I can't take this anymore. You've been driving me nuts on social media. You've been hounding me, coming to my house, calling me. You know what? I can't believe I'm gonna do this. I can't believe I'm gonna do this. December 1st, you want it?
No way.
You want this match? You got it.
Diego, are you telling me December 1st?
I'm gonna step back in the ring to teach this punk a lesson, a wrestling lesson that I've been waiting for a long time to do this. But I'm retired. I want to hang it up. But now, no, you gotta push, and you gotta push, and you gotta push. Well, you know what? I had enough. We'll see everybody
Diego.
December the 1st.
Welcome back to the Game Sports Show. That was an entertaining wrestling interview. And Alex, that's great that you were able to be a part of that.
Yeah, I mean, it was just so unfortunate that Vinny kind of had to take it the way he did. You don't want to see during an exclusive interview like that hands being thrown, but I guess we've got the match for Sault Ste. Marie, two local boys coming out of retirement and ready to go again. So I just hope Vinny's doing okay after that.
That's exciting stuff. Sorry, I should really promote all that stuff, but I think it's funny. And if you listen to the show, we have someone named Intercontinental Inch that does a show. It's a friend of myself that does a wrestling character. And he's been on the show, so he's been on the radio side. We're trying to get him on the TV side. He is probably going to go bonkers when he watches that. Get him in the studio, maybe do something with that. But we got basketball to talk about, fellas, so we're going to jump right into that. The Toronto Raptors end up making a splash. And we're going to talk about the Lowry signing, Siakam potential, and going into the season where they're defending the NBA championship this year, which is fantastic to say. Kyle Lowry re-signed a 1-year, $31 million deal. Now, I know you guys are on split ends. I honestly, I'm going the cop out. I'm on the fence about how I feel. But I love loyalty to a player. He's done a lot for this organization and city. He's believed. He's been heart and soul. Now, when you compare him to a Kawhi Leonard or any of these guys getting the high money, I understand. He's not at the same level, but he also has that impact. So maybe a bit less would have been something, but you want to make sure that he stayed here and you just show that loyalty to him. I think of it more of as a award as well. But Alex, I'm going to go to you first quickly about your opinion about Kyle Lowry resigning.
It's a great deal. You need to pay the players that earned you championships to say thank you, and that will also set the tone for other free agents that say, hey, if I go there, I'll get rewarded for when I win, or if I win. In a 1-year deal, if it's an awful deal and he plays terrible, you just re-sign him again next year for something cheaper.
What do you think, Dano? I know you're on the fence. You're more of the no side, so.
Well, I'm a huge fan of Lowry, and I think that unprecedentedly, he was one of the best players in the Raptors playoff run en route to championship, 100%. And I think the intangibles that he's possessed, especially from a point guard perspective, I think you absolutely have to have that if you want to have a championship team. In saying that, from a $31 million perspective, when you break it down the way that you did, of course, it makes a lot of sense. But I just don't know if him as a player at this point in his career and moving forward, if $31 million is quite justified. You take a look at the Damian Lillards, the Steph Currys. If we even compare Lowry to, let's say, a Chris Paul, somebody who might be phasing themselves out on their way out. I don't know if $31 million is justified, but I do love to see Lowry with the Raptors. And if his intangibles can come to the forefront again, I can't see why the Raptors can't do really well again this season.
No, and you know what? We're going to get into a little, basically on the season preview here. We're just going to kind of predict where we see the Raptors are going to go. But Siakam's a guy who wanted a max deal now too, apparently. And Pascal Siakam is the real deal. He's spicy, okay? And I like spiciness in my food, okay? So when I see spicy as a nickname, I know you're good. Okay, and I'm a fan. I'm behind you right there just by the nickname. Okay, I'll tell you. And he's awesome. And he was a big part of that run, too. He was the guy that we predicted that wasn't just Kawhi Leonard or Lowry. That was the guy that was going to win you the NBA championship in that series. He's that underlying guy, and obviously not a no-name guy. He's a big star, and he's going to be an all-star. And a max deal, does that make sense? Consensus around the table here. Does that make sense to give him right now?
The fact that he wants a max contract is fantastic news for the Raptors organization. That says we finally have a player that wants to stay and play as a Raptor, and that's something we don't see. So if he can perform at even the same level as he did last year, give it to him, because you need that incentive for free agents to want to come here. You know, we have the border you have to cross, and we have those winters that some players just have never had to put up with. They play basketball in southern states their whole life. They don't want to do that.
Nope.
But hey, there's a little bit of cash up there. It's a pretty good program. Siakam stayed. They paid Lowry when he won. I think that just sets the tone for what free agents should expect from the organization going forward. And if he can play at the same level, 16.9 points a game, 54.9% field goal percentage, 6.9 rebounds a game, you pay that man his max contract.
What do you think, Dan? Is he contract-worthy guy, max contract?
Going forward, I do believe so. And when you take a look at it from a holistic perspective and looking really down the road, I think he absolutely is going to be. When I think about a max contract guy, especially because he is so young, and especially just because he kind of bursted onto the scene and really made himself known this season with the championship run and the whole bit, I'm just not sure if I'd be willing to give it to him right now. Is he going to be the type of guy that's going to get you 20, 10, and 5? He's quite close. He's quite close, but I don't know if it's going to happen this season. I don't even know if it's going to happen next season. But down the road, this guy is absolutely going to be an all-star. You see the way that he improved even just over the past season and a half. And down the road, I think he's going to be a max contract player. I just don't know if it's time for it exactly in this moment.
So is spicy? It's a little okay. I almost messed it up. It is a spicy situation with the contract. There we go. And I'm certainly going to be excited to see a little bit of hotness on his court this year with his spiciness. Too much spiciness when I butchered that. Quickly before we go to break, around the table, where the Raptors are finishing in the conference, we think this year. Alex.
5th.
6th.
3rd.
Wow.
We're going to break on that note. The Raptors finishing 3rd. Do you agree or you disagree? I know you disagree with my spiciness about 30 seconds ago, and I apologize. But you know what? I just like to say that. And comment below, though, what you think the Raptors are going to finish this upcoming season, what place, where they are, if they're going to make a splash, and if you like the Kyle Lowry signing, and is Giannis Antetokounmpo, is he going there in 2021? That's going to be a topic we'll talk about later in the show in the future. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to be talking some NHL news, particularly with the Leafs and just all around the National Hockey League. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to the Game Sports Show. Dave McKay, Daniel Scarpino, Alex Parr. We're here talking sports on the Twin Cities' only local regional national sports show. Very happy you're able to join us here inside On TV Studios. And obviously I want to say thank you to all of our sponsors that are part of the show. And if you want to be a sponsor on the show or Soo Online or any of our sponsors, just reach out to yours truly or hear anyone at Soo Online or through the Game Sports Show. And we will direct you and we will promote your program or your organization, corporation, business, anything of such. We got your back here on the Game Sports Show, powered by ESPN, 1400 Sovereign Communications, and Soo Online on TV, amongst many other things. We're going to get into talking the NHL right now, fellas, in terms of the National Hockey League. We're going to start it off with the Toronto Maple Leafs. And where I'm going to talk about with Toronto is I'm not going to really dissect games on the weekend. Games have happened. They already played St. Louis last night. And the Leafs blew a 4-1 lead, though, on the weekend. And that heading at the bottom right there where it says Leafs blue lead, I feel like adding again, and again. Look up stats since 2013. The Leafs have blown the most 4-1 leads in hockey. Not double, not triple, not quadruple, pentagon. I don't know what the fit. Which one's 5? I don't know.
Synctuplet.
They've blown it the most. It is ridiculous. Every time I see a game, and I'm taking off my host hat, putting my Leaf fan hat on, when I see a 4-1 game, I'm like, okay, we're losing this game. we're losing this game. I don't even care if we get an empty netter with 30 seconds left and it's 4-1. I'm not even excited until the game's over. 4-1 is the curse of the Toronto Maple Leafs. I'd rather be 3-1, 2-1, or 5-1 win in a game, okay? Now, what do you got to do to settle this 4-1? First off, Hutchinson looked out of place. Kapanen made a bonehead play, throwing that, like, use your head, first off. Defensively, okay, they were just fell apart, and the Montreal Canadiens grit and got underneath the skin. I know Domi called Kapanen an idiot, amongst a few other words before that, on the bench, and that is a bonehead move, okay? So Montreal gets by Toronto in a shootout. Toronto plays St. Louis yesterday. They lose 3-2 in one of the most exciting hockey games that I've seen in quite some time in regular season play, because I like how Toronto played against St. Louis. Anderson looked a little sluggish. A couple goals he let in on the 5-hole, and that slap shot out from Oscar Sundqvist. He could have had those 2 goals, but Shen did get left alone in the slot. So defensive issues for Toronto. Again, I got to say, they're still going to address the defensive issues somehow. Okay, buy the cap, do something. Okay, and I like how Sandin is doing out there, though, however. Alex, I'll go to you quickly before we jump in to talk about Don Cherry's comments. 4-1 lead, they blow it. They lost 2 in a row here. They do get a point in one of the 2 games, though. Tampa Bay coming up next for Toronto.
I'm not going to put my Leafs fan hat on. I'm going to keep the analyst hat on for this one and say, I mean, yeah, it's kind of comedic. The Leafs are the punching bag of the joke, right? They lose 4-1 all the time. I don't know. That it is so early in the season. I think Anderson's not there yet, though. There's something. When I watched the pass go to Pietrangelo for the game-winning goal on, was it last night's game? Yes. Monday's game. He looked like he was there, but kind of gave up on it. He looked like he didn't think Pietrangelo was going to shoot, or he didn't think that the pass was going to get there. He kind of gave up on it. I think he could have easily had that puck. So I'm not sure whether it's Anderson not valuing these games because they're not the games he wants to be playing in. Those are 80, 79 games away. But I don't know. This team, Kapanen did make a really stupid decision. I don't think he changed that line. Anderson, I think it's something more mentally than anything, and I think the Leafs are okay for the time being.
See, and I'll say, because I don't want to dive in too much of the topic, Kapanen a problem on Tavares' line. I'll say right now, yes, I don't think he should be on that line, not because of his talent. I think you got to kind of change that up. I know when Hyman comes back, we know exactly where Hyman's going. Kapanen going up with Matthews wouldn't be bad. I'm a huge fan of Trevor Moore. I love heart. I love grit. I love when someone gets that chance. But that third line is absolute fire right now for Toronto. But I'll say right now one thing, Don Cherry's comments, and we got multiple topics to get to with the Toronto Maple Leafs, is, the Leafs aren't tough enough. And everyone here in Sault Ste. Marie is upset at Don Cherry about a lot of things. The hot dog thing. I get it. I actually met the man numerous times. I'm a fan of Don Cherry. And I may get criticized, might lose followers, might gain followers. I don't know by saying that, okay? But this guy is well over 80 years old. He's been doing this a long time. And he's right. Toronto is not tough enough to beat Boston. If Toronto can get past Boston, they're winning the cup. I'll tell you right now, because that's the curse you got to lift. It's just the curse you got to lift. That's all I believe in, like Washington did against Pittsburgh. They need some grit on that team. Dan, I don't know what you feel that I think in hockey it's imperative to have. You don't have goons anymore. Those are done. Yeah. But you know what? You have a position where you got to have those grit guys that are going to back up your star guys.
Well, I definitely agree. And I happen to agree with Cherry's comments, if I'm honest. I don't think that at this particular moment in time the Leafs are necessarily tough enough. And not just from the perspective that you mentioned, but I think mentally tough enough as well. You can't have 4-1 leads and be blowing leads, and that comes down a lot of times to mental toughness. Sure, it could be tactical, it could be technical, it could be guys trying to work through the early stages in the season. But when you are blowing leads like that, and when you see the periods and the moments in the game where the Leafs are kind of slipping a little bit, I think that there is a lack of mental toughness there. And I'm sure because it is so early, as you mentioned, Alex, that they're going to find their way and work things out, no problem.
I think so. Now, quick, I'll go to you, Alex, for your quick point before we go to other topics.
One guy I couldn't really believe that the Leafs didn't make a try at during free agency was Pat Maroon. Guy had an absolutely nuts playoffs, was the heart and soul of that St. Louis team. Nobody signs him for months, and he goes to Tampa Bay. I don't know. That seemed like a perfect guy that you could have to provide a little bit more grit, a little bit of experience, and somebody to keep mentally straight and know that it's okay, trust the process, and we'll be fine.
Don Cherry, you were right on this one, my friend. Moving on, though, boys, going to jump into say right now, Pittsburgh Penguins injury woes continue. Malkin out long-term, Nick Bustad out as well. And overall, the Canadian teams are performing quite well. Okay, right now, overall, I got no complaints in terms of Canadian hockey is looking bright in the National Hockey League. But with Pittsburgh, Malkin and Bustad being out, they said they're going to be out with long-term injuries. Pittsburgh is on the other side. Malkin's coming off one of his worst career years last year. Pittsburgh is going to start thinking, I think, future. Here, you got to build around Crosby. Maybe it wouldn't be a bad idea to consider trading Malkin or trading those guys and let Crosby come up with some more younger guys and maybe in his final years have another good team to lead potentially to a championship. Now, a couple more topics. Going to say Wings start the year undefeated. I know Scott Nason and Butch Davis talk a lot of Detroit in their sports. Check them out. Detroit, kudos to you. You guys are looking fantastic so far this year, but I still don't see a playoff team in the future this year with the Red Wings, but the future is looking bright in Detroit. Two more things. Colin Miller. He is looking awesome, Alex.
Oh,
and that Buffalo save, those unis are fire, by the way, but Colin made a beautiful pass yesterday, and he's just fitting in nice on the Buffalo's blue line, especially on special teams.
It looks absolutely seamless, and that was great. I was kind of surprised to see Colin Miller go from Vegas and sign all the way up in Buffalo. But yeah, it seems to be working for both the team, both him. I mean, like it says on the screen, 2 assists through 3 games. What more can you really ask for a guy that's sitting in your second pairing, bottom pair?
Buffalo is a good hockey team. I've been telling people right now, and a lot of media experts, including some experts on TV show yesterday, said that they don't see Buffalo keeping this up, and maybe not, but hey, they have a good product on that ice right now. Last topic. Is Domi worse than Brad Marchand? Max Domi, okay, and why this topic got brought up is I had a conversation with some fans of the show through texts and friends of myself. Is Max Domi basically a clone of Brad Marchand? Or I know Domi hasn't licked anyone, hasn't done the McGregor thing, he hasn't done any of that nonsense yet. Okay, but do you see similarities? Alex, I'll go to you, Dan.
Do you know what else he hasn't done? He hasn't put up 100 points. Brad Marchand is a different class of player now. And it took Brad Marchand a few years to get to that superstar status. But as much as I hate to say it with the Leafs fan hat on, he is a superstar player in this league. He's a huge draw to this league. Yeah. Can Domi get there? Maybe. Is he there now? Not even close. I mean, lots of players in the league are pests, but I don't think we're comparing Domi to Marchand's really the two comparables you should be looking at.
No.
I'll see you, Dan. What do you think?
It's at this moment in time, it's not a fair comparison for the reasons that Alex mentioned. I really couldn't say it any better myself, but no, Domi's not at that level yet in terms of his pestering nor of his playing ability yet, but I do think that Max Domi is going to be just fine in the league moving forward.
You know, he doesn't put up the points that he does, okay, but I'll say right now he's on the track. When I see it, I see similarities. I see that pest. I see the annoyance. And you know what? It's better than what his dad did because his dad was better at dropping the mitts. Domi actually puts the puck in the net, okay? And he's going to get to that point, especially on a team like Montreal where he is the star. Don't forget, Bergeron isn't, in my opinion, the star of Boston. It's Bergeron, in my opinion. He's the top 3 guy on the team, but I think Domi's actually the face of Montreal. Not Shea Weber, not Jonathan Drouin, obviously. Not even Brandon Gallagher, who I think might even be close to being on a pest level as well. There's just something about Domi I see being the Mr. Future Annoying hockey player in the National Hockey League. And Montreal's lucky to have him. I'm not going to lie, I'm a fan of Max Domi. I am a fan of Max Domi. Yes, that is complimented some Montreal fans there for you there. A lot of things going on in the National Hockey League as the season got underway. Lots of things we had to talk to and that we rushed to here on the panel. We'll be covering everything National Hockey League on our TV portion and radio portions of the show. So we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we got our last part, part of our last part of the show with our In the Pocket segment here on the Game Sports Show. Don't hesitate to leave your comments below on what you feel about Domi Marchand or any hockey. And make sure you don't touch that dial or the volume or the clicker or TV channel, whatever it may be, because we've got more sports talk coming your way. Welcome back to the Game Sports Show inside On TV Studios. Dave McKeag, Dan Scarpino, and Alex Parr here for the last part of the Game Sports Show, the Twin Sault's only local, regional, and national sports show. And as the header just said, and as I said before, going to break, In the Pocket time. Our world famous In the Pocket. Since 2015, we've been doing In the Pocket segment. It was actually one of our first segments that we launched on the show, even before hockey. Whoa. Might be a future trivia question, hint, hint. But moving forward, we got some local football to jump into. And tomorrow from Sports Center Bar and Grill, Matt Primo will be dissecting a full entirety of that. And Jamie Antonello will be there on the show as well through Skype. and we'll get talking some local football there as well as professional football and a lot more other sports discussions as well. But from a local football perspective, okay, there was last Thursday that the St. Mary's Knights at Superior Heights, they won 19-18, okay? In that game. Now, Nick Pagnotta had 2 touchdown passes, then Chuck Webb and one to Martin Colaciccio for St. Mary's. Sorry if I'm butchering the name. St. Mary's wraps with the regular season schedule with the Knights 2-2, who head into semifinal action on the heels of a bye week for Superior Heights. The Steelhawks wrap up their regular season week against Cora. The Colts enter the game with a 3-0 record, while the Steelhawks are 0-3. The Steelhawks and Knights will meet in the opening round of the playoffs on October the 18th. The winner facing Cora in the final the following week. Now, statistically for the Knights in the past game, in addition to 33 yards rushing on 8 carries, Pagnotta completed 6 of 22 pass attempts and for 123 yards in the game. Superior Heights quarterback Evan Johnson threw for 157 yards, 12 for 27 passing. In junior football on Thursday night, we had Dan Breton ran for 3 touchdown passes. Hopefully you had him in your local fantasy. And punt for a return. As the Superior Heights Steelhawks moved to 4-0 in junior football with a 53-6 win.
Oof.
Okay, it's Superior against St. Mary's at Superior Heights. Breton returned to punt for 65 yards in the game and also had touchdown runs of 28, 51, and 74. Yeah, I wish I had him on fantasy last week. And for the Steelhawks, Breton finished the day with 204 yards rushing, on 7 carries, and also had 5 tackles defensively. That's a game. Gabe Barkley had a pair of touchdowns runs for Superior Heights on runs of 5 and 49 yards. Brickley had 96 yards rushing on 6 carries. St. Mary's falls to 1-3 with a loss. St. Mary's returns to action October 10th against White Pines against 6 p.m. at Superior Heights, and Steelhawks will face Cora the following day at 4:45 kickoff at Superior Heights. That's the local roundup. We'll get into more dissection from tomorrow from Sports Center Bar and Grill. We're going to transition to the NFL right now. And you know what? We're going to go around quickly around the table. Week 5 just concluded. The Niners remain undefeated. The Steelers, Mason Rudolph didn't get carried off the field after a concussion. That's been absolute talk on a lot of radio segments and TV shows. A surprising week. I actually had a disappointing week in fantasy after getting 173 points. The other guy got 182. And the record in the league was 184, set by yours truly. Ever in the league that's been around for a long time, and I still lose after putting up that score. It's sad. I had Christian McCaffrey. That is why I had that. Overall, great week in terms of football. Going to you first, Alex. Pick a game from Week 5 that you want to talk about, then your game of the week for Week 6.
I really, really wanted to talk about the Browns game, but I will leave that to you as the host of the show. So I went with Baltimore and the Steelers. Like you said, the Mason Rudolph, unfortunate circumstances with the concussion. It has been the talk. I just never saw the reason why the Steelers should have been forced into a corner to trade a first-round pick for a quarterback in a year where it's just not happening for you. Roethlisberger's injured. You lost quite a few key pieces in Antonio Brown and a plethora of others. I didn't see why this was a season to trade your first-round pick. And it looks like it's just still going downhill. I mean, they lost that game only by 3 points. I mean, good for Mason Rudolph, threw 13 for 20, and Devlin Hodges threw 7 for 9 when he came in relief. But I don't know. I think the Steelers season should just be a write-off at this point.
You know what? It's definitely a gamble. The Steelers, you make that pick, trade for Fitzpatrick, and you think you're going to salvage a year, and then Mason goes down. It's a situation where they have to really explore what they can do next. And I'm still kind of intrigued on Eli Manning cheap trade. I think that'd be affordable, but I can't see him really leaving New York. But Dan, I go to you. Overall, Week 5. I know if you want to talk about anything for Week 5, a game that you pick, and an upcoming game for Week 6 that you're looking for.
Well, for me, Week 5, the one that stood over the Packers and the Cowboys.
Okay.
Cowboys fans, sorry. I mean, I'm actually not that sorry, to be fair. But no, it's good to see that the Packers are once again trending in the right direction, and it's excellent to see. In terms of Week 6, I'm just looking to see how things shake up, if I'm honest, and I think it's NFL is so exciting right now, and I love what I'm seeing, and it'll be interesting to see going forward for sure.
You know what? It's a week, and Alex, let's go to you. One thing with the concussion protocol. We like to talk about this on the show a lot, but with concussions, should have Mason Rudolph, had better assistance getting off the field with that, or was that just a you blew it moment by Pittsburgh?
I'm not sure. With concussions, it's such a touchy thing. We don't even really fully understand what concussions bring to a human over a course of time. So the way that it was handled, you don't want to see him walk off. He should probably get stretchered off. But that's just the thing, it's neither here nor there. That's what's ended. That's the situation we are in, unfortunately, for the Steelers and their fan base. It's a rough time. But as Dan said, go Pack, go, for sure.
There you go. Now, I'll say for Week 5, the game that I want to stick out is actually Christian McCaffrey and the Panthers. I don't even want to stick to really a game. I want to go to a player. This guy has been absolute lights out the entire football season. His statistics are through this charts. Trust me, I know I have him in fantasy. Named my team after him. Crispy McChicken is what I called my name because of the nickname for him. I want to go specifically to where he is as a player right now in the National Football League. He's showing that he can't be stopped out there overall. And the Panthers aren't undefeated by any means, but they have a perfect player in Christian McCaffrey. So that was my exciting moment for Week 5, is to see him just absolutely run, break yardage. It's just a treat to watch him play. The next game out the next week that I want to go to about Week 6 is, I want to say, the Niners and Rams. You that you have the Niners right now that are in a position that they are undefeated. No one would have predicted that.
No.
Everyone thought Jimmy G was going to bounce back this year, but people didn't expect this to happen just right out of the gate right now. San Francisco is going to be an attractive place to play again sometime soon. And I already talked about Christian McCaffrey, so we're not going to talk about Christian McCaffrey anymore because I think we all know what fantasy team he's on. I've said that about 4 times since we started this part. Now, I want to go to thumbs up. And before we even go to thumbs up for the week, I want to say to make sure to check us out tomorrow from Sports Center Bar and Grill. Myself, Matt, Jamie, and Justin, and the crew will be there talking football, more local and professional football, and predictions for Week 6. Thumbs up, though. Toronto Wolfpack Rugby winning the championship. Yeah, okay, a little Toronto championship. We like seeing championships in Toronto. It's fantastic. Hopefully it's another team, and by the time June comes around the corner. And also I want to go to give a congratulations to someone in Sault Ste. Marie, a team based in Sault Ste. Marie. Brad Jacobs, Sault Ste. Marie born and raised squad, Olympic gold medalist, won a tournament title against Calgary's Kevin Coe at Stu Sells Toronto Tancred. And you can check out his multiple articles locally for that. And obviously newsworthy that they won that tournament. The squad shows some good battle back in that tournament. They weren't expected to battle back and succeed and win, but they end up doing that. And great for Sault Ste. Marie for that win. Dan, Alex, thanks for being a part of here of the show. I want to say thank you to you, the listeners, for joining us on the show. We'll be back tomorrow from Sports Center Bar and Grill. And I said listeners, but I also got to say viewers as well on the show. This has been the Game Sports Show on TV Studios, the Twin Cities' only local, regional, and national sports show. And until tomorrow from Sports Center Bar and Grill, I'm here to remind you to have a good rest of your night, and booyah.